heading out for our annual winter desert ride the day after Christmas. A series of storms, flashing the entirety of the West Coast, has left southern Arizona as our only viable destination for the trip. Coincidentally, I saw Sterling Noreen's excellent video on riding the Camino del Diablo just a couple of days before our departure. And so, we're off to explore this ancient and remote road through the depths of the Sonoran Desert.
Over this? Yep.
Crossing the Barium Goldwater Bombing Range, the Cabeza Prieta Wilderness Preserve, and the Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument, the route runs roughly 160 miles gas to gas, truly pushing the fuel range of the Africa Twin to the limit. Our first stop is at the Fortuna gold mine site. In its heyday, this mine boasted a 20-stamp mill built into 4 terraces cut into the side of the hill. Each of the stamps, used to pulverize the quartz ore, weighed roughly 13,000 pounds and were powered by 5 boilers and an 80-horsepower engine, which seems quaint given that my Africa Twin produces over 100 horsepower just to keep me moving down the interstate. KTM rider coming the other way gives us a little preview of what lies ahead.
Yeah, just really choppy.
Okay.
And then it clears up, but it's about a 5-mile stretch. It's just really choppy.
Any like super deep soft sand?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then I think we'll hopefully be okay.
Never trust anyone on a KTM. It is concerning that we've only managed to cover a couple of miles in the last hour. We pause to take a break from plowing through the deep sand and enjoy some of the beautiful scenery. Even though the video we watched before receiving our permits to travel through the bombing range warns explicitly to stay on the road due to the risk of unexploded ordnance, pushing through the deep sand becomes unbearable, and I decide to hop on the side of the road in search of firmer ground. Finally, the deep sand gives way to more manageable terrain. It has taken us an hour and a half to cover 4 miles, but now we're moving again. The route started as a footpath, first used by indigenous nomads nearly 1,000 years ago. They were followed, over the years, by Spanish explorers, Jesuit priests, miners, ranchers, and migrants. The remote location, desolate landscape, punishing weather, and lack of water have taken many lives along this road and earned the route its ominous name, the Devil's Highway. Even today, there are approximately 65 known grave sites along this route. After navigating Atlas Pass, we reached the new construction road used to supply materials to the border wall construction project. Being this close to the border, the area is known to be heavily used by migrants and smugglers. And sure enough, we pass a couple of guys trying to make their way through the wilderness on foot. It is illegal and ill-advised to help migrants journeying through this area. And being on motorcycles and lacking cell phone coverage, there was little we could do for them anyways. The sun is quickly setting and lighting up the desert. Even though we still have a ways to go, it's hard to resist the temptation to stop and take a few pictures. We eventually make it to Tule Wells. Having read some reports of great camping further up on Christmas Tree Pass, we push on a little further, racing the sun to camp. We make it just as the sun is setting, and we get some incredible photos before setting up tents and enjoying a well-deserved dinner under the Milky Way. After the spectacular sunset and Milky Way display last night, the sunrise is underwhelming, a gray dawn spreading under heavy cloud cover. Shortly after leaving Tule Wells, the manicured construction road ends, and the route turns into a more interesting Jeep road again. As we rejoin the main route, we're keenly aware that we still have 2/3 of the way to go, and we'll be stretching our fuel and our water as we try to complete the route today. There's also the mildly unsettling knowledge in the back of our minds that in about 30 miles we will encounter the Prieta Sands, where the road runs parallel to the bed of a dry lake. After heavy rains, the mixture of sand and clay soil on this short but treacherous section of the route can become completely impassable. If we cannot pass and have to backtrack, things will get really interesting. The sandy desert here grudgingly gives way to volcanic rock as we traverse the Pinacate lava flow. This is the section that could have been unpassable, but luckily, the relatively gentle rains that passed through a couple of days ago left the clay soil completely intact. We power through with no problem. The inefficient fuel consumption of clutching through deep sand has pushed my gas tank capacity to its limits. Out of a growing sense of desperation, we pull over at Camp Grip, a Border Patrol field base in the middle of the desert. While the single agent manning the base is at first a little reluctant to give up Uncle Sam's gas, he figures it's better to give it to us now than to have to bring it out to us when we run out in the middle of the desert. He offers some intel to go along with the gas and wishes us well as we get underway. The road is starting to get better in places, and so we pick up the pace. But the sand isn't done with us just yet. We're finally entering the Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument, and the road becomes wide, well-graded, and scenic. We reach Bateswell Ranch. At this point, we know that we'll not be able to get to Ruby today, so we decide to take the time to explore. This ranch was one of about 15 in the Sonoran Desert that were operated by the Gray family in the early 1900s. Ranching has a devastating effect on the delicate desert landscape, and the family had a long simmering battle with the Parks Department. This battle ended with the death of the last of the Gray family descendants in 1976, at which point all ranching ceased in the monument. The ranch is very well preserved, with the main house, the corral, stables, wells all still intact. A decaying monument to the men and women that survived and thrived in this harsh but beautiful landscape. We pull out of Bateswell Ranch and make the final push through the Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument to Ajo. The dirt road is well maintained and the riding is fast and fun. The scenery is incredible. With not a single hotel room available in the little town of Ajo, we push on to Gila Bend and spend the night in this UFO-themed Best Western.